Hey everybody, it's Andrea, Bipolar Phoenix Andrea here. Post-book show, my first one. The book came out on Saturday, which was World Mental Health Day. It was a crazy weekend. It was my husband's birthday, but I managed to actually beat my deadline, and Kindle went up early, and then the print book came out pretty quickly. Amazon approved it very fast, which is great. So I am overwhelmed with all the responses I'm getting from friends and family and beyond. And I'm just really excited to be able to continue this show. And I'd like to continue talking with people who were involved in the book and also in the book and talked about in the book or interviewed. Also people who are in the mental health community and have some good things to say about how people can manage their bipolar disorder. So I want to just go ahead and start with a couple of my awesome banners about how you can get the book. So Bipolar Phoenix is on Amazon.com in the Kindle or paperback format. I'm happy to say that many people that I know have bought the book, and some have even read it. My little sister read it. She's in it. So if you read it and you get a chance, please review or please reach out to me. And let me see if you can reach me here. You can reach me here and also here. So we'll keep that on there. I have a really awesome guest. My first guest post-publication is my editor, my awesome friend, Lynn Carey. We can talk a little bit more about how we met, but she's a real pro, and I really wanted to feature her on the show because she knows me personally. She knew about the development of the book, and she was my editor. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Lynn Carey. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Andrea. So glad to have you be here.
I know. We haven't seen each other, everyone out there, since when did you leave?
Well, no, we left Singapore in 2012.
Yeah. Well, we were pals.
Yeah, pals. Remember my karaoke goodbye cup party?
Yes, and you lost your voice, and I was like,
going over to take over. Yep. Yeah.
Or was it me that lost my voice? It was the say goodbye and I choked. That one. That was I remember.
I probably still couldn't sing it, even though I don't have a cold right now. So.
At the two Queens in Singapore?
Something like that. It was something. I know that they loved you.
It was epic. Well, they loved you too, and we missed you here, and I miss you very much. Lynn, let's tell everyone how we met. Go for it.
I remember it so clearly. I think it was probably an American Women's Association meeting in Singapore, and this tall, gorgeous, voluptuous woman with, I believe, purple hair and white cat's eye glasses and a very tight, I think it was leopard print, full length, maxi, low cut, tattoos and piercings. There we go. And I remember thinking, wow, she does not look like the rest of these twin set ladies here. And I remember you said, I'm new. My name's Andrea. I'm writing a memoir on being bipolar. Is there a writer's group? And I probably said, yeah, there is. So that's what I remember.
So I did join the writers group. Great description, by the way. All true. I still have the dress, which means I'm still squeezing into it.
But you rocked it. You rocked it.
I hope I still do. But I do remember that, and I did join the writers group at the AWA, which was fundamental in keeping me into the project and allowing me every 2 weeks to work on the work and read it. And Lynn, can you talk a little bit about our writers group, and maybe you remember one of the articles that I read, one of the chapters?
Yeah, did you read your Loki chapter?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I loved that chapter about your dog, your mental health dog. And we would read whatever we were writing. I can't remember what I was writing, but I know it became what I'm still working on, trying to edit myself. Desperate Expat Wives novel. And Andrea, you know, I have read the part about you and how I just was drawn to you immediately because of your energy. So hard to do in that kind of heat. I do
Yeah,
remember.
definitely. Well, right back at you. And, I really appreciate everyone who's watching that and watching the replay. Pat Morin's watching in Chicago. Hey, Pat, my girl. Pat's in the book.
Yes.
So Lynn knew the story. So she knew me personally, continues to know me personally, and we keep up on Facebook, of course. And she's seen ups and downs with me. She's seen the behavior firsthand, and not everybody saw it. But because I was pretty straight up honest with Lynn, I remember having breakfast with her one day when I was quite manic, and Chris was out of town. And I think I was pregnant, but I'm not 100% sure. But she was there for me, and she listened. She listened to me blather and talk. And she was like, hey, you doing okay? And I'm like, no, I'm totally manic. And she's like, she gets it. And not only that, she's a professional journalist. And Lynn, can you tell a little bit about your work experiences?
Well, I worked for 30 some odd years at a local newspaper in the Bay Area. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I worked there and did all kinds of different things, mostly in the features. I wasn't doing a lot of news or finance like you used to do. Mm-hmm. And had a great time and ended up starting a book club, the first newspaper book club in the world. So that was in 1997. Yeah, I totally copied Oprah. And so I got to meet a whole lot of authors, and authors are still my favorite people. So it's such a joy when my friends become published authors.
Well, I do not. I definitely cannot say that I have favorite editors, but you are probably one. I have two favorite editors. You're one. And there was no doubt in my mind that I wanted you to edit my book. And also Sarah Lau Bo from The Finder here in Singapore is my other favorite editor. And I can say that I was a difficult writer most of my life, and I did not always love my editors. And I was an editor too, but I loved having Lynn be part of the project. And Lynn, I wonder, can you tell me a little bit about how you approached the editing? So you knew me, you knew the story, and Lynn had actually edited the Loki chapter for a publication in a magazine, a shorter version of it. Mm-hmm. So she knew more material than anyone that ever knew about my book. So Lynn, how did you approach the project?
I'm in a writer's group now, and I'm always the sort of the bluntest one. And I'm the one who says, take out the exclamation points and take out, for you, the ellipses. But I read a book I like people to talk to me through their words and have it sound like a conversation that you're having with your reader. And so whenever writers get a little carried away and flowery and everything, and which you weren't, you were very blunt also. But I do tend to, if there's a whole lot of commas, I make them into periods and things like that. But I just wanted your words are so powerful that I wanted you to punch them up a little bit more and make more paragraphs and things like that. So
that was really helpful, actually. And I did go through and do more line breaks to highlight the material, because when you have just one big text, people just glaze over it. But for people who aren't doing editing and layout, the line breaks help people focus a little bit more on the information, and they retain it. One of the things was about the ellipses, and I had a lot of things because there was so many more things to fucking say. Like, oh, this and this and this, that, because I could have gone on and on, because everything was so fucking crazy in that book. And I dropped the F-bomb on purpose, because when I conceived of this title, it was My Fucked Up Life and How I Fixed It, because that's how I was rolling. And that's exactly what it's about. Because if you knew me and you know me, I was really fucked up. And I couldn't think of a better way to explain it, especially a chick from the 90s, like rocking it out. And I did. Now, as I got older and my daughter's, 8, and I thought, oh my God, maybe people won't want to report the name of the book. And we use F'd up, F''ED. Maybe I should think about my daughter being able to pronounce the subtitle. And Lynn was like, that's bullshit. And it was one line on an email. And I was like, yes, that's the truth. Let's keep it real. So I was really happy that we could keep it real. And I think Lynn just explained that she wanted me to talk more about my life and less about the journalistic, hey, I can do research shit, because all journalists back things up. Lynn, yeah. Lynn, can you talk about the F word issue?
Okay. Yeah, you were a little inconsistent there, I thought. And I know we'd had that conversation about your title. And then you started saying F, dot, 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 K-E-D. And I'm like, and I said, just own your fucks, own your fucks. And you said, I was owning them. I was admitting to them. I said, no, spell it out. Spell it out. Don't get coy on me now, girl.
Yeah. I really thought you meant like take responsibility for your behavior. No. That's what I thought you meant. It was the words. It was the actual F word. And I did reread. Unfortunately, I did miss one of the F's to turn it into a fuck, but you've heard it from me officially. The F word is fuck. Okay, like fuck it. So,
in my novel, that you're my character in my novel, and one of my characters. And I remember my narrator saying, "Okay, when she comes in with the hair and the glasses, the tattoos, she looks like somebody who'd actually say fuck in this town."
Ain't that the truth? My mother is so proud. She's not happy about my aunt and my mother, and not happy about my choice of vernacular once I hit New York City. It was probably started in Boston, but that's how I wanted to roll.
We lived in all the good cities for that.
Yeah, right. London was a little harder to pull it off, but they just knew I was American. So
bloody.
Yes. Yeah, I have a couple of British people from that lived in Singapore that were in the book, Lucy and Barbara. I think that's everybody. And Martin, who's from Harmony Consulting and has been someone I've worked with here. That was last minute add to the book, and I was really happy to include him. Anyway, he hears me say fuck too. So everybody's used to me with the F word. Lynn, what was maybe one or two of the overarching feelings that you had whilst editing that you thought was really important to drive home with this book? People always say, why should I read it? Because
you don't have to be bipolar to relate to it. That's one of the things that surprised me the most. We all have these super, super big mood changes, and that can last for a long time. And I mean, I'm not sure if it's bipolar. It's not the same thing that you're going through, but some of the advice that you gave was applicable to all of us, and especially me, stuck in my house in California. I can't go anywhere. I can't go out of the state. I don't think, certainly not out of the country. I wish I was in Singapore for things like this, because they handled it really well. Yeah. California is better than some, but there's some really down days. And reading the book, it was just inspirational. I mean, my gosh, you pulled yourself out of the gutter, the mental gutter, so many times. Mm-hmm. And it's just admirable. And I think I told you, I related to this. I related to it. So that's what hit me.
I definitely wasn't sure that I would connect on those levels when I was writing it, because in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I was such a mess. Like, people are going to hate me. Of course, that's a little bit of a behavioral, you get used to thinking you're paranoid because of being bipolar, and then it just seeps into your everyday, life. But I'm glad to hear that things are relatable. Was there any one chapter that you thought was really powerful and lended itself to help people today? Or maybe there's one for one and one for the other.
I love the Loki chapters. I love Loki. And now I think when you had Loki, that not very many people had mental health animals.
Yeah.
Now we've got friggin' mental, what do they call them?
Psychiatric service dog.
Yeah. Service peacocks on airplanes.
Oh God, I know.
That, Anyway, so it's come a long way since you had Loki. Anyway,
yeah.
So I love that. But you know what I really loved Okay, first of all, I was trying to keep all the husbands and fiancés and boyfriends straight. That was hard.
There was less than I actually said. I didn't want to name everybody, so it made it sound like different people, but some of them were the same people.
Well,
I didn't throw them all under the bus.
Did you end up putting in a timeline of all your relationships and all the places where you lived? Because that was.
I know. So sort of. I didn't take it to the house as maybe you thought I probably should have, but I put it in the gratitude section, the acknowledgments, where I said, hey, look, I don't remember things that well, and there was a couple of people involved, and I take my responsibility, and that I refer to those experiences because they were apropos, because they supported the argument or the reason that I made a change. So that's not exactly what you said, and I know I'm a bad.
No, that's okay.
It was a time issue. But
it was funny.
Yeah.
I got confused about all the guys, and
it was very confusing time.
And yet, I was admiring of you. To the point. But what I really, really loved was getting to know Chris better.
Oh, I know. Worth
and
it.
What an amazing guy. I don't think I met him until the day you gave birth and I went to the hospital and he offered me a beer in your hospital room.
Totally illegal in Singapore, by the way.
So that's when I met Chris, and I feel like I know him even better now. And that was really special. And I loved reading about your family, and I don't know, you've had such a life. Can I tell you what I think your next thing should be?
Okay.
I said, okay, this is a book where we really go through her bipolar journey, but she doesn't talk about when she was a professional wrestler or professional singer and within bands and all of these things. So I said that Andrea should do a fictionalized version of your life. More of a timeline thing. Then we can be more in order.
Yeah, well,
a little linear.
I definitely would be able to fill in the gaps a little better with fiction, and really
so much fun.
Take it to the house. Yeah, I have some fiction ideas. One of the ones might be about not semi-biographical, but based on some of the experiences that my husband has had doing sales one summer. I won't say too much in case I'll tell you offline. It's a cool idea, but and other people at Lynn have suggested Bipolar Expat, which I think it's more like mental health and expat, because that's what I talk about and write about a lot now, is like help you. And it's different for me because I do have a ton of experience now, having had mental health, regular mental health issues, and then applying the stress of being an expat, which you certainly understand, a bit of a Stepford vibe going on, money, unrealistic aspirations, and the luxury and things that people live, and then they leave and it's not there anymore. All that stuff that regular people who don't live in Southeast Asia or don't live abroad don't know too much about. So that limits the audience, except that maybe that brings in sort of the really big interest of other people's lives and how totally crazy or totally different they are. But yes, I've had an illustrious, crazy life. I think one of the things, and Lynn, me, I took all the chances. I took every chance. Whatever chance came up, I took it. And that's the road less traveled. One of my friends, who's an author, she lives in London. She's an American girl, Natasha Oliver. Love her. She was really helpful for me at the tail end of the book and getting me to go to you, Lynn, as an editor, because you knew me, and also some marketing support and ideas for marketing. But she said, you're the one in the arena. Everyone who else is just watching and commenting and maybe being supportive or not supportive, but you're the Teddy Roosevelt, Brene Brown quote, which I learned much later after I'd mostly finished the book. But you're the one in the arena and kind of doing the work, taking the chances and doing the work. And that's definitely a big part of my life. And then when things went down, it took me a while to pick it back up, but I did it. And I think that's what we wanted to share. And I know you wanted to share in editing and highlighting things, the story, and how do you come back from all this shit,
No, it was so readable too.
That's good.
It was so readable. It was just a joy to read. But a lot of people, I think that if they were going to approach a subject like this, it would be way more scientific and dense and everything. And which I would not have wanted to edit.
Yeah.
So,
I had my moments where I felt compelled to quote some psychiatric studies and stuff because, as a bipolar person, I think we're always trying to justify, why am I here? Why am I still here? I mean, during the time that I was being diagnosed, people didn't get it. And there was not a lot of empathy. There really wasn't. Having to justify your existence. And this is why I'm the way I am. And I spent a lot of time where I talked to one of the younger girls from my rugby team. And she has works with the Find Your Anchor, which is an anti-suicide prevention organization, grassroots. And she's doing wonderfully, working with Lady Gaga and the Born This Way Foundation. And she has a really different perspective than I do. I'm kind of the dark cloud. Dun, 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 dun. Here's how bad it can get. Read my book. And you can get it better. But hers is very different, where like the silver lining. And she understands suicide and she understands all that mental health stuff. But she's from a different generation where it was accepted to have these differences, at least more than me. And I'm like again, I always see I'm the thundercloud, and they put us next to each other with the rugby team in talks. I'm the thundercloud and she's the silver lining. But that's the generation that we came from. So
but that's because they're talking about it more now. I mean,
yes.
when we were young, and especially when you were young, they probably called it manic depression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just lock them away. I mean, like, don't turn your back, put them out, get rid of them, break up with them,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I certainly heard those comments. I mean, a couple of the guys still to this day would be like, oh, she's crazy. She's crazy. Like that was the explanation. So there was always that, I had that goal or compulsion to want to justify, well, it's an illness and it has these characteristics and I'm not alone and I'm not the only one. And I didn't invent this and I'm not just an asshole. Like I had a lot of like wanting to justify that. So I'm glad that I didn't go heavy on the stats, a little bit, but
no, you needed them. You needed them to back up everything you were saying. But I like how you gave sort of a huge, big picture and a lot of different ways that people can approach their own bipolar too.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, Lynn, I really appreciate you talking with me today. And of course, for editing and for being part of the story from the beginning, it couldn't have been a better ending to have, I'm going to cry, to have you finish and close it out and make it the best book that we could make it. And I couldn't have a better pro to do it than yourself. I miss you. I love you.
I love you too. And I'm so glad that we're always going to be friends.
I know. I love it. And I hope someday I can come to the San Francisco area and have a book launch and have you interview me like you usually do with the authors someday.
I will.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
Right. Thank you for having me.
I can't say enough about Lynn. She was a friend, and to be supportive and understanding before all this stuff started was really telling, and it stayed with me throughout the years that I had put this, worked on this book, put this book aside, picked it up again, and it just, like I said, it just made absolute sense to go back to the beginning and go back to one of my early influencers and mentors, essentially. With the writers group, Lynn was a mentor and said, just go for it. And at the end of the day, she said, yeah, use the F word and go for it. And that's part of kind of what I've always done in my life. Go for it. And at this time it worked. So please take a look at the book on Amazon.com. It's in the Kindle and paperback format. You can get it from anywhere in the world. And if you want to reach me, do I have this up here? Yeah, you can reach me in my email, bppandrea@gmail.com, Bipolar Phoenix Andrea Facebook, which is where I hope you're watching this today. These are also played on YouTube. And, I really appreciate everyone being on the journey with me, and it will continue. The Bipolar Phoenix is going to keep going. So look forward to seeing you again soon.